this deck a lot, and he probably Jund isn't a deck that probably surprised him. You know, it's very popular, so sure he has some sort of plan going into that matchup.
Yeah, if anyone can win that match, it's certainly Teats. I mean, excuse me, Teats. We've seen him win in Open with Goblins, a ton of success with Goblins, and not just on this circuit, but the Grand Prix and the Pro Tour circuit as well. So if he does win that match, I will not be awestruck. I promise you that much. But we do see the two players on the camera, William Pearson on the left, Jeff Hoogland on the right.
Stream Team leading out with a turn 1 Badlands Deathrite Shaman.
I like the shirt. I hate the card that's in play. So,
one of the best cards ever made, and I like it even more that I know how much it bothers you.
As we do see just a wooded field hill from Jeff. Obviously, we've talked about the power of Deathrite Shaman, and again, this is a card that is going to be pretty good against Jeff's deck, as it is a deck that does use those lands in the graveyard and does Life in the Loam, so can snag that as well, which is why we have seen Life in the Loam decks at an all-time low.
Yeah, Deathrite Shaman, one of those cards where you want to really, there's so many strategies that kind of shut it down, you know, Life from the Loam, Reanimator, it makes it very difficult. Modern, Modern's an even narrower format than Legacy, and Deathrite Shaman really just changed the entire landscape of that format.
It sure did. It definitely did. Now, one thing you have to assume with Jeff is Jeff knows he's playing, you know, Jeff chose to play this deck this week, and he wasn't forced to play this 4-color Loam deck, we'd like to assume. So, you know, he does have all these value lands, and he does have a Life in the Loam deck, and he does have Punishing Fires and all that good stuff here. Night of the Reliquaries, a lot of cards that Deathrite Shaman does interact with. I'm going to go on a limb here and say he's probably beaten a few Deathrite Shaman decks over the course of the day. So, let's assume that, you know, he is willing. I think he's able to be able to beat a deck like this and a card like that. You know, he doesn't just scoop to a turn 1 of that card.
Well, he does have 2 copies of Devastating Dreams, which would actually be really fine right here, especially if he has the Life rule. You know, you can clear both 2 of the creatures on William's side of the board potentially, as well as deal with 2 of those lands. So, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a different card. Devastating Dreams is, I believe, 2 red, discard X cards to destroy X lands.
It's destroy X lands, deal X damage to each creature, but
Yeah,
it also
so
the discard is random.
Okay.
I'm almost certain the discard is random on Devastating Dreams, and it deals those damage to creatures. We'll bring it up really quick because this is a card that I played the Cal decks and the Aggro Loam decks, you know, 4 years ago and extended, as we're going to see in Mox Time, and we'll see what land Jeff is going to discard, but we don't want to be incorrect on exactly what Devastating Dreams does, but I'm almost certain that it is a random
because it was
discard.
really popular in those aggro Loam decks. So yes, as an additional cost to discard X cards at random and destroys X lands, deals X damage to each creature. So with a card like Life from the Loam and you playing Wasteland against a deck with all non-basics, pitching your hand is fine.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't matter. I'm going to Wasteland lock you, and you only have Deathrite Shaman as 1-drops anyway. Yeah. So.
And now Wasteland is going to take care of Jeff's Badlands. Here comes Tarmogoyf. This thing is, I think there's a creature, there's an instant, so it's going to be a 3/4. As you do see a Mox Diamond left over here. Mox Diamond can get blown up by an Abrupt Decay from Pearson, but he doesn't have one, and we are going to see a Dark Confidant, and Jeff just passed the turn back. Let's see what Pearson is able to muster as he does draw a card. You see a Grove of the Burn Willows, a Dark Confidant over there, as well as a Wooded Foothills, and a Liliana of the Veil. So here comes Tarmogoyf yet again in for 3 points of damage.
So it looks like he doesn't have a removal spell for Dark Confidant potentially, or...
He just
he has one of his own.
He just has one of his own. As Jeff is going to untap, he's going to draw himself a Sylvan Library and move down to 10.
Reasonable draw there. Give him some card advantage, but again, he really needs to find a way to deal with the creatures on William's side of the board, because 10 is not a good life total to be at when you're facing down a Tarmogoyf.
And so he does draw a Dryad Arbor for his turn. Cards in his hand right now are a Dryad Arbor, a Savannah, a Dark Confidant. Looks like we have another Wasteland, which he is going to use to take care of that Grove of the Burn Willows. And we're going to see him play another... Okay, actually, he's just going to play that Sylvan Library, not another Dark Confidant, which is the other card.
Oh, wow.
Lightning Bolt off the top, off of that Bob. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
So he's going to be able to deal with the... Oh, and he also drew a Punishing Fire as well. So he has his choice of ways to deal with the Dark Confidant. Decides to not give away any more information, just Lightning Bolts it, and attacks over for 5. I believe it's 5.
Yeah, it's gonna be 5 there. Again, a creature.
So it is. Yeah, it is a 3 power. So he's attacking for 5. Jeff is now at 5. Unfortunately, not too many outs. I believe Devastating Dreams is still a potential out here. He's gonna be able to look for scry for 3. There is a Devastating Dreams.
Burning Wish. Burning Wish.
Oh, Burning Wish.
They look eerily the same. I remember when I was playing that deck, how much those cards do look the same. I actually got used to that. As you see, Chalice of the Void, Burning Wish, and I believe that's a Taiga there.
So if he gets Burning Wish, is there any card in his sideboard?
Well, one card I would see if he has a card like a Death Mark or anything. You see a Dreadbore, you see a Perish. He has a Chainer's Edict in his sideboard as well. As he's going to play a Dryad Arbor and a Dark Confidant and just pass the turn back. So William is going to trigger that Dark Confidant. Here is a Thoughtseize. He's going to move down to 17, but he doesn't have a card like a Death Mark or a 1-mana removal spell, maybe even a Flame Slash to be able to Burning Wish for.
So it looks like he still has the Punishing Fire, which will allow him to deal with the Dark Confidant and swing for 5. Jeff has a Dryad Arbor, which he can put in the way to survive this turn.
Yep.
Not sure if William has a 3rd land, so he'll be able to cast a Liliana.
Yeah, maybe make him sacrifice a guy.
Maybe make him sacrifice a guy instead. Not really sure that's necessary exactly, but
certainly in the driver's seat this game nonetheless.
Yeah.
Whichever decision he does make, he could go.
So he's got an Abrupt Decay,
sure.
which is probably the perfect card there because he'll save the damage that he can throw it right at Jeff's face.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he trades here, drops to 2,
Yep.
if somehow Jeff does have another blocker, he can just cast Punishing Fire targeting Jeff.
Yeah. So it looks like we're going to be moving on to what is likely going to be a second game here.
Yeah, so it looks like it looks like nothing really Jeff can do right there. So William Pearson off of turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, your favorite card, managed to win the first game.
It's my invitational card, you're right.
Jeff did draw a Wasteland, didn't draw a Life and Loam, and William just had too much pressure in play. So even if he was able to Wasteland lock him, probably wasn't really going to matter that much. And we thought that the Wasteland was going to be very good against William's deck, but if William's on the play, he can sort of get enough threats in play where the Wasteland won't affect him as much. It kind of just sets Jeff back. So, and that's exactly what happened. He went turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, turn 2 Dark Confidant, turn 2 Tarmogoyf. And suddenly, it really doesn't matter if you try to Wasteland him out, because William was able to keep drawing lands anyway, and he still was attacking every single turn. So that's one of the ways that William can easily win this matchup.
So before we do go over the sideboards for you guys, it is trivia time yet again. It's time for OSIP to ask a question and give away 6 months. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, go for it.
So for 6 months of Star City Games Premium, William Pearson is playing a Jund deck.
Yes, he is.
He has 1 copy of an enchantment in his deck, in his main deck, that many Jund players are playing. It is an old school enchantment. It is green, and it costs 2 mana. For 6 months of premium?
6 months.
For 6 months of premium, name that enchantment. You can tweet us at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium, with your answer. Again, it is not a race. Okay. We're going to pick one of you at random, no time limits, up until, I believe, the next round. So we will announce the winner next round. And again, 2 mana, green enchantment in William Pearson's Jund list.
Is it Ground Seal?
You're thinking of standard Jund. I'm talking about legacy Jund. This matchup, this deck that we're watching right here.
Stupid. All right. Let's talk about the sideboard. We see in Jeff's sideboard, we're going to see a bunch of Burning Wish targets. You see Life from the Loam, Devastating Dreams, Chainer's Edict, Dreadbore, Perish, Maelstrom Pulse, Reverend Silence, Shattering Spree, Thoughtseize. Those are the cards he can Burning Wish for. And then he has a little space on his deck list for the cards that he can't Burning Wish for, which are Bojuka Bog, an Abrupt Decay, a Gaddock Teague, and 3 Thalia Guardian of Thraben. So I think he's going to leave, those cards, the Burning Wish cards. I think he's going to sideboard those in. Sometimes, back in the day when Cunning Wish, Burning Wish, there's one more wish. Living Wish. Yeah, okay. The green one. When you saw those cards get played a lot, sometimes you saw people board in their wish targets, make it so they can actually draw them. The games would go longer. You'd wish for other cards, what have you. I don't think we're going to see any of those cards come in. I think he wants to leave them in the sideboard.
He's got 3 copy of Thalia in his sideboard. That's the most number of cards in his sideboard. Doesn't look like that card's going to be coming in this matchup. He does have another Abrupt Decay, so I think he's going to go up to 4 Abrupt Decay after board. But beyond that, I don't really see him boarding much in this matchup because, again, he is a Wish deck, and Wish decks generally don't board in that many cards unless it's for a very narrow, specific matchup. Yep. And it looks like what Jeff is focused on is combo decks.
One of the things you used to be able to do with wishes, too, very briefly, is, when a card got exiled, you could actually wish for it. So let's say, you put a card underneath the Chromox or Imprint, or it got exiled for, maybe if Deathrite Shaman was a card many moons ago, you could actually wish for the card that was exiled. You can't do that anymore with Burning Wish, so that's part of the reason that you see some of the cards that are in a sideboard, because if something does get exiled, he actually can't wish for it again that way. So, I don't really know what Jeff's going to bring in here. Maybe he's going to leave all those wish targets there. So we're looking at 6 cards, which are like a Bojuka Bog, an Abrupt Decay, a Teague, 3 Thighs, like probably that Decay, and then maybe the Bojuka Bog.
Yeah,
I don't love it.
It's fine, I guess. I don't think I'd want it in this matchup. I think Abrupt Decay is really the only thing. You just want to go up to 4 Abrupt Decay. You want to be able to deal with Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf is probably the most obnoxious card for you.
Okay.
So I think going up to 4 Abrupt Decay is fine.
Right.
At Williams sideboard, he's got 3 copies of Mindbreak Trap, 4 Pyroblast, 3 Duress, 2 Now Spellbombs, 2 Surgical Extractions, and 1 Maelstrom Pulse. Now, he's got some cards in his deck that aren't particularly strong in this matchup. He has 4 copies of Liliana the Veil. Now, not sure Liliana the Veil is really something you want to be doing as a Life in the Loam deck.
Not
although,
the biggest fan, yeah.
So I can see shedding some of the numbers there. Lightning Bolt, again, Lightning Bolt's not incredibly powerful in this matchup. He might want it in there just to deal with Dark Confidant, but, Jeff's only got 3 copies of Dark Confidant, so I don't think you need all 3 of your Lightning Bolts. So I see him probably shaving some of the Lilianas, shaving some of the Lightning Bolts. Definitely wants the Now Spellbomb and Surgical Extractions in order to deal with the Life in the Loam strategy. And I think he also wants a Maelstrom Pulse in there as a way to deal with Knight of the Reliquary. So I'd expect him bringing those 5 for some combination of Liliana and Lightning Bolt.
All right, so we are underway in Game 2 here between Hoogland and Pearson. And we'll see what these guys do have in play, as we are going to see a Deathrite Shaman start the show there for William on the left, as we see a Bayou, and we're going to see what Jeff is going to follow that up with. I think he drew a Mox Diamond.
So it looks like William has 3 copies of Liliana in his hand.
That's a lot of those.
So he definitely didn't board. He boarded in. He definitely didn't board out 3 Liliana.
Yes, that did not happen.
So he maybe boarded out 1, but no, it looks like he might have just kept all of them in there.
It's interesting. You wonder if Pearson kind of knows what Hoogland's deck does. I think that's maybe a legit question. I mean, he does get to see the side. He gets to see the deck list, yes, but maybe he's just never seen a deck like this in action before. Is that legitimate to you or no?
Well, he definitely boarded in Surgical Extraction, so I think he knows at least that Life in Loam is incredibly important, and that's one of the key cards.
Maybe he just wants to use Liliana as just an overcosted removal spell then?
I don't think Liliana is ever terrible, but in general, I don't think it's exactly what you want to be doing post-board. Who knows?
And now we're going to see a Surgical Extraction here by William. Let's see what he's going to target with that. It's going to be Wasteland. Okay, so no more Wastelands are going to take place this game from Jeff Hoogland's side. He does not want to be Wasteland live. Via Life in the Loam.
And, that's pretty huge. Obviously, one of the cards that we thought was going to be very important in this matchup. So now that's completely out of the realm of possibility. So Jeff, what do we have here for Jeff? He's got he still has the Sylvan Library in play, so he's going to be able to dig for more land. Doesn't have a second mana source right now to cast either Burning Wish or one of those 2 Dark Confidants in his hand. But hopefully he doesn't break on his Sylvan Library and he gets a second mana. And hopefully the land isn't Mazavith or something.
All right, so let's see what he's going to be able to find with Sylvan Library. I mean, it's interesting to see, is trying to fight his mana in a deck like the Loam deck, wastelanding him back and forth, especially when he has a library in play. Doesn't seem like it's ideal in this situation. I think, Jeff, if you're William, you want to establish that Liliana and start going upstairs instead of trying to have this wasteland battle. I agree that it is important to get rid of wastelands with Surgical, but, I mean, he has more lands than you. Yeah. And he's saying, you played a wasteland and wastelanded me, so you can't do that.
So let's see if Jeff can find the land and a way to deal with that. So he found 3 lands. Still doesn't have a way to deal with Deathrite Shaman, which is really, really tough here. It's going to make the Life from Loam plan much more difficult, which obviously he's got a Burning Wish to find the Life from Loam, but not very effective against an active Deathrite Shaman. William is able to find the land here. He has a Punishing Fire to deal with one of those Dark Confidants. Surprised Jeff didn't actually pay some life to draw a card off of Sylvan Library. He's not really threatening. He's not really threatened from anything on William's side of the board just yet. Maybe he really should probably just try to dig a little more with Sylvan Library. Try to get a little deeper in his deck. William has only got a dark because he really needs to deal with that Deathrite Shaman. So yeah, there's the Punishing Fire.
All right, so that's going to take care of that, and he's just going to pass the turn back.
So let's see.
Dark Confidant, Tranquil Thicket, and a land.
So yeah, I really wonder if Jeff's just going to pay 4 life and draw a card here. I think he really wants to dig a little bit. Nope.
You just think he just wants to bypass this?
I think he just wants to dig a little deeper and find an answer to Deathrite Shaman.
Sure.
You know, I think you're at 19 life. Your opponent just has a Deathrite Shaman and 1 land in play. I think you're okay with sacrificing some life for cards here. So it looks like Liliana might enter play, and I'd be surprised if Williams just did a down ticket to deal with the Dark Confidant.
Take care of that Dark Confidant and just move on.
So Deathrite Shaman's making the Burning Wish in Jeff's hand a little awkward. He's not really able to go for Life from Loam, which is obviously the key card that he wants to go for. And now he has no lands in his graveyard anymore to even target with the Life from Loam, thanks to the Deathrite Shaman. He loses Dark Confidant. We know he has at least 2 lands on top of his deck. What is going to be the 3rd card down? It looks like oh, he has a Dark Confidant as well. So
we're gonna see another one of these guys.
Yeah, 2 lands and a Dark Confidant.
Who do you think's ahead in this game right now? I mean, you see one player Sylvan Library a bunch. You see Liliana, and he has multiple Lilianas in his hand. I mean, Jeff might Jeff.
I think that it's tough to say. I think if Jeff actually just starts drawing cards with his Sylvan Library, he could be fine. But it's gonna be tough for him to actually get anything going if he doesn't deal with that Deathrite Shaman.
All right.
So it looks like, is he going for a Thoughtseize here? He just wants to. I don't think Thoughtseize is really where you want to be at.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But the thing is, it's kind of funny. I don't know where he wants to be at. And he is going to take a Thoughtseize. He's going to Thoughtseize. He's going to see Liliana, and a Wooded Foothills.
Yeah, because obviously you're going to lose what you Burning Wish for, because William's going to uptick the Liliana next turn. That's why I kind of was surprised that he was going to play the Bajuka Bug, and he didn't draw cards with the Sylvan Library.
Sure.
Because you're basically just off the top of your deck now. Granted, you have a Sylvan Library, but William has a Planeswalker in play, so it's going to just we're going to see what wins in a fight, Liliana or Sylvan Library.
Yeah.
And the way that Jeff is using the Sylvan Library right now, it's going to be Liliana.
And so no cards in Jeff's hand. Liliana's going to take up to 2. Deathrite Shaman's not going to move. It's going to remove something. You see Mox, Tranquil Thicket, and Dark Confidant.
So Dark Confidant could come down there. William can down take Liliana and kill it to deal with the Dark Confidant. And we know, I think he has another in his hand. Mm-hmm. So we could just see kill my Liliana, lose your Dark Confidant, I'll play my Liliana out of my hand, now discard a card from your hand.
And we did see Jeff finally take 4 from the library. So he's going to play a Dark Confidant, and then as we're going to see Deathrite Shaman activation, he actually took 4 to draw. I think what I believe, Osip, is a Tranquil Thicket.
Yeah, I think it might be a little too late for Jeff. I think he really needed to dig with Sylvan Library earlier.
As we're going to see Liliana take care of that.
And we're going to see the 3rd Liliana of the game.
That's going to
second that's come into play. It's going to take up, deal with the Tranquil Thicket.
Yep. No reason to cycle that. Okay.
Well, he knows what the top
he knows
card
the top card is.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay. So now we're going to see 3 fresh ones. And that's going to be a Mazavith, a Tranquil Thicket, and a Plateau. So just lands. And, this is the thing with Jeff's deck. He has a lot of lands in his deck. So this can certainly happen.
And with no more wastelands, he's really not even able to turn those lands into something effective with Life and Loam. And even if he did, there's a Deathrite Shaman in play. So not a pretty one-sided affair. Even though there's a Sylvan Library on Jeff's side of the board, William's really in the control, in the driver's seat right now.
And if at any point he's able to top deck an Abrupt Decay, it's a complete disaster.
Yeah. Then suddenly Jeff is just stuck with 3 lands on top of his library, and he's not even able to dig any deeper or potentially draw cards. So
it's funny to see that Liliana puts him ahead in a matchup where I think you and I both would agree at the beginning that we didn't think Liliana would be very good in this matchup. We thought he was going to sideboard them out. Did you see Deathrite Shaman going to come across into the red zone?
Well, the one thing I thought was Liliana can be good if you're able to deal with the Life from Loam, which obviously William's bringing in cards to deal with it. I thought with cards like Life from Loam, Punishing Fire, Liliana's ability is not that great, but you know, it works out for him here because he was able to execute the Wastelands, and he has the active Death Ray Chamber pretty much the whole game. So, looks like Jeff did actually draw Punishing Fire finally. Surprised he didn't just use it on the Death Ray Chamber while it was tapped, so William doesn't get another activation from it.
So up to 6 we go. All right, Punishing Fire is going to target that. What's Pearson have in his hand? All right, we're going to see.
But it doesn't matter. It's getting discarded to Liliana.
Understood. I mean, he kind of paused for a moment.
Yeah.
You know, when that Punishing Fire happened, so I'm wondering if it's relevant. Okay, so it's a Thoughtseize. All right, so not a big deal.
So Jeff's at 10. Sylvan Library.
You see Sylvan Library, you see Maze of Ith, Wooded Foothills, and Forgotten Cave.
So I think you have to pay. I think you have to pay life here.
Just to bypass the situation?
Yeah, because you have a... Alright, so he chooses not to pay life again. At 10 life, with your opponent only on 1, you need to... Liliana's going to get ultimated pretty soon.
Well, what is this follow-up play going to be? He's going to tick this up. He was reaching for mana again, and...
So, I think you...
Okay, so he's going to punishing... Looks like he ticked up and then punishing, and with that unstacked Punishing Fire.
So you got to find a Grove of the Burn Willows here.
There's another Sylvan Library, Devastating Dreams, and a Maze of Ith. As we saw Jeff do that again with the Liliana discard, cycle the Forgotten Cave, put the Wooded Foothills from the top of his deck into the graveyard because that's what he would discard.
Yep.
I mean, both players are looking for Grove of the Burn Wolves right now.
Yeah, but Jeff is facing down the ultimated Liliana pretty soon, so I think you know his window here to start doing things is getting slimmer and slimmer. I think he really wants to just start paying for life, but again, chooses not to pay for life, values his life total, even though William really doesn't have much in play and only 1 card in his hand. So let's see what we got from William here. Does he top deck something good? Wow.
Abrupt Decay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So there's the Abrupt Decay, and are we just going to get an ultimate here? No reason.
That card in Jeff's hand is going to be an ultimate, and that card's in Jeff's hand. I believe it's the Sylvan Library. So if we would have made him discard that, it would have been, again, a disaster. This is what we were kind of waiting for, is when was Pearson actually going to draw an Abrupt Decay to take care of that Sylvan Library? He finally does. And now he is basically, putting Jeff to the test, make him basically sacrifice two lands.
And the funny thing is, though,
he kept it on the top, but continue.
I didn't think the Liliana ultimate would be that devastating if Jeff was able to find the Grove of the Burn Willows, because then he can get back the Punishing Fire, and now he'll definitely be able to kill it. But it all comes down to whether or not you find that Burn Willows, and that's why you really need to dig.
And now we see Abrupt Decay, Maze of Ith, and the Forgotten Cave are the cards that Jeff does find off of the Sylvan Library. Dark Confidant was the play on Pearson's turn. Liliana does keep ticking right on up, and we're going to take care of that.
Yeah, he has an answer to that. So
let's see what Pearson draws.
Jeff really needs William to start bricking on creatures, because worst case scenario is a Bloodbraid Elf right now.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
So
that's a lightning bolt. That's just going to go upstairs.
Pretty bad too. Makes it harder and harder for him to start digging with that Sylvan Library. So
there's a that's a Nantuga Monastery. I was like, is that a Volrash Stronghold? He doesn't have one of those in his deck list.
So Nantuga Monastery, not the worst land.
A card that we'll bring up on the screen for you guys is
old school card. Yeah. I believe it's Odyssey block.
Yeah,
so
the Judgment is the set that you are looking for. Becomes a 4/4 with first strike when you have Threshold, which he certainly does have, as Dark Confidant is the draw. Liliana does tick up. Right now, Jeff does have a green or a white with the Moss Diamond, but the black's not going to allow him to activate the Monastery. And you see Chalice of the Void, Forgotten Cave, and a Maze of Ith are the cards he's looking at there with the Sylvan Library. So he does just take Maze of Ith, pass the turn back. There is a Wooded Foothills off the Dark Confidant, and now a Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, there's a Tarmogoyf.
He finally found something to actually try to close this game out with.
Yeah. Well, I think Liliana is going to get ultimated again at this rate, so he's going to be able to do something pretty exciting.
This is an everyday thing. You just see Liliana ultimates multiple times a game. As you see, a Mott's Diamond is the new card along with Chalice of the Void and Forgotten Cave off the Sylvan Library.
So probably gets a Forgotten Cave here to dig a little deeper. Chalice of the Void doesn't really do anything right now. Yeah, so it looks like Jeff's just going to go for the Forgotten Cave and pass the turn back. William is completely fine with that. Obviously, he has a Maze of Ith, but he's still going to be taking 2 from the Dark Confidant. Now William reveals another Tarmogoyf with Dark Confidant. Draws another card for the turn. Going to be able to cast a Tarmogoyf. Not sure about the other card in his hand. Is it a Bloodbraid Elf, potentially? Yes.
It is.
It does look like. So this is gonna.
That's lethal,
this
right?
should be lethal.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
Jeff
it.
extends the hand, and William Pearson wins 2-0 against 4-color loam from Jeff Hoogland.
Pretty that's a strange game.
Yeah, very
It's a
strange
really
game.
weird game between those two players. I haven't seen anything like that before in all of the time covering Legacy. I mean, we don't see loam decks a lot. We started to see Jund decks over the past couple of months here, but that was a very obscure game, and that's kind of what makes Legacy a little bit interesting. You see weird games like that and weird cards, but we are going to see Pearson move on to the finals. He's going to play